to doing business with assist agencies. The City of Chicago. We're live. Okay, you're seeing the actual screen. City of Chicago assist agencies are comprised of non-for-profit agencies and the Chamber of Commerce. And again, like I said, Ms. Stanley is here representing the interest of small businesses, minority and women-owned businesses, and we connect prime contractors with certified firms and subcontracting opportunities. Some of the roles of an assist agency is to promote the MWBE program to its members and community, help explain to applicants, firms, the City of Chicago certification process, and assist with completion of certification documents, assist with dissemination of Department of Procurement Services information, attend quarterly City of Chicago workshops, work with the City of Chicago and prime contractors to identify to us potential M and WBE subcontractors, and provide feedback and information to the City of Chicago from its members and the community at large so that we can create programs that will help the community, and participate in research projects conducted by the City of Chicago and the Department of Procurement Services in order to document the amount of disparity and discrimination that affects MWBE firms. The partnership efforts basically is the quarterly meeting with all of the assist agencies, quarterly workshops designed specifically for assist agencies, annual review of City of Chicago and assist agency partnerships, and weekly, monthly correspondence with the assist agencies and their constituents. Our first presenter, as I said before, is Suzanne Stanley, and she's going to come up and give us some information about the programs her organization offers.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to join you this afternoon to talk about our organization. And that organization's name is the BE Group, which is a parent company for two organizations that I will get more into detail with. As they indicated, my name is Suzanne Stanley. I am the founder and CEO. Our business is focused on providing business operations support, training, and guidance, principally to underserved firms in the building industry, with specific emphasis on those that are construction companies. With the economy moving at dizzying speeds, keeping pace poses a critical challenge for many minority and small women-owned firms in this industry. But they must ready themselves to face the challenges of growing larger businesses and utilize available opportunities presented to them by government and corporate inclusion programs to help ensure their seat at the table. In order to aid in their growth, development, and expansion, the core mission of our business groups is to help prepare these firms to gain a greater understanding of where opportunities are and to aid them in being able to win contracts. And so one of the first things I want to do is sort of position why our business is so important. If we look just at the state of Illinois, we see that there are over 6,124 businesses that classified themselves as construction-owned businesses. which represents 5% of all construction companies in the state. Yet those firms actually earn less than 1% of the revenue. So there is a big disparity there. Looking on at the Hispanic sector of the industry, 10% or 11,000 firms said they were in the construction industry, and they represent 3% of the construction firms in the state. So looking both at the African American and Hispanic segments of the construction industry, you see there is a great disparity between the number of firms that are in the category and the revenue that they generate as a result of being there. Next slide. So our company has a for-profit and a non-profit division. Our for-profit division operates under two names, the Contractor Advisors and Building Entrepreneur. And our nonprofit sector, which is Contractor Advisors Business Development, operates two programs, the Construction Industry Conference and the Construction Development Institute. So, as we looked at putting our business together, we saw there were many areas of need that we could solve coming at the problem from a different perspective. But the overall solution that we are looking to solve is to help build the capacity and capabilities of those businesses that we just outlined so that they could be able to deliver excellent services to their clients and to those groups that they look to win contracts from. We also feel it extremely important to work with them in shifting their mindset from operating a lifestyle business to operating a business that has a real economic impact. A lifestyle business, for those of you that may not know, is typically defined as a business where the owner creates the business in order to fund his own or her own lifestyle and the lifestyle of their family. And that's important. Many businesses do, in fact, start for that reason. But in order to really have an economic impact on the community in which they live and the society at whole in which they operate, they do need to have the interest in building a bigger business. And many of them do, but many of them do not have the tools, the know-how, or training in order to do that. And so that's when we are able to step in and help bridge the gap for many of them. We also work to help them understand the advantages of expanding their network to include partnerships, because strategic partnerships in this industry are becoming more and more valuable, particularly for businesses in the minority end of it. Contract opportunities are abound through city, state, county, federal agencies. And the opportunities have been put in place for minority firms to win contracts, but many of them are not at a point where they're able to do it solo. So by helping them understand strategic partnerships, teaming, and joint venturing, it helps them to really get a seat at the table, get their foot in the door in order to win these contracts. And so this is a very important and critical piece to the work that we provide to our constituents. We also position them to understand the need to have a strong financial understanding of their business, as well as how their business needs to be able to access the financial markets. Operating a business out of your pocketbook, particularly in the construction industry, does not bode well, and it certainly will not allow them to gain the kind of foothold that we are looking to help them gain in the construction field. So we access through many different areas financial resources to help them be able to grow their businesses through loans and lines of credit, understanding surety, the surety market, as well, of course, insurance. And lastly, we work to help them identify and respond to opportunities as they present themselves, and also to understand the level of opportunity that they can actually access. It's nothing worse than to take on a contract in this industry that you are not able to satisfy. So we work to get them to a place where they can bid, understand how to bid, understand how to estimate, and estimate at a level that they can actually manage. So it's controlled growth versus sporadic growth that we're looking to help them understand how to do and perform in operating their businesses. Next slide. So, looking now at our for-profit business contractor advisors, there are a multitude of challenges that are facing the small contractor today, and particularly those that are African American owned, not the least of which is discrimination, which has led to an extremely low number of these firms winning construction contracts. And this information was borne out in the study that the City of Chicago conducted in December. Actually, the study was conducted in 2015, and the report was written in December of 2015. And that study is an evaluation of the City of Chicago's minority and women-owned business program in construction. As a result, the gap that exists between those numbers that I showed you earlier, where we have 5% of the business that are in construction are African American, but only 1% of the revenue, those gaps that exist are not caused by a lack of effort on the part of the construction company themselves, but rather many of the conditions that confront minority business are environmental and have developed over time as part of the progress that has been and is still being made. Addressing and exploiting these conditions in order to achieve the next level of success requires a shift in the mindset, not only with our corporate community, the government, universities, foundations, and other groups that are project owners, but also among the businesses themselves. Each of those entities has to shift their attitude. The small business has to shift their attitude about the fact that they can win contracts, because many of them have felt left out for so long that being included now takes a shift in thinking that they can, in fact, bid and win and continue to grow their businesses. So, as a result, contractor advisors Contractor Advisor supports and works with construction firms to help prepare their businesses, understand how to win contracts. And we do this principally in two areas: by providing back office support in bidding and estimating, accounting and bookkeeping, certification, legal document preparation and understanding the documents that come with a contract, and teaming and joint venturing agreements. We also provide assistance in the area of marketing and marketing services. And that support involves assisting them with business plans, assisting them with writing capability statements, developing brochures and flyers and logos and their website, as well as preparing presentation materials that they need. All of these are important pieces that a business needs to have in place in order to operate successfully and be able to present yourself to a potential partner, be that partner a project owner or be that partner in the construction sector, a prime contractor or a larger contractor who may have won a large contract from an entity, and you've got to then present yourself to him so that they will understand that you feel like you can in fact do the work. So these are things that are really critical to have in place, not with any business, but particularly with the construction sector, because so many of these business owners, the smaller construction companies, are working in their business and not enough on their business. Moving on to our magazine, Building Entrepreneur. We studied the market and we created Building Entrepreneur magazine, or BE magazine, to target a select niche in the construction industry. Our target is the construction industry that's doing 20 to 30 million a year. So that's that small contractor. And the information that we are providing through our magazine, Building Entrepreneur, is critical information that many of these contractors really have no other place to go to get the information. We launched the magazine in 2016, and we operate twice a year. So we have a spring and a fall issue, and we are distributed online as well as hard copies to 20,000 contractors, both in construction, engineering, and architecture. And so these are some of our covers of our magazine. Contractor Advisors Business Development is our nonprofit entity, which is primarily engaged in educating and training through workshops, conferences, and seminars. We have two divisions, our Construction Industry Conference and the Construction Development Institute. The Construction Industry Conference is a conference that's targeted to the business owner and key managers in construction. It's really not designed for the laborer. Now in its sixth year, this conference provides best practices approaches for construction, architecture, design, and engineering business owners, as I just indicated. And this conference provides them with procedures and tactics to operate their business more efficiently. The conference provides insights on things like how to identify, bid on, and secure government contracts, private sector contracts, as well as prime contractor contracts. It is a one-day conference. We have an exhibit floor. We produce a very exciting private engagement session area where contractors meet with project owners and prime contractors to discuss how they can become partners on a project. It's an excellent way for those contractors to introduce their businesses to the project owner or the prime contractor so that as they begin to identify partners in the prime contractor sector, typically what happens is if a government entity, let's just say it's the city of Chicago or the Illinois Tollway, they have a multi-million-dollar, $100, $200, $300 million project, the prime contractor is the one that gets the contract. And then he or she, in turn, brings in subcontractors to assist in fulfilling the contract obligations. And so those are typically the ones that we work with. Contractors that come from a broad spectrum of trades, your carpenters, your plumbers, your electricians. And so these private engagement sessions are ways in which that prime contractor can sit with those smaller contractors and talk about doing business with them. Here's a picture of our conference and the many things that go on. I didn't get a chance to mention the fact that we do workshops. In addition to private engagement sessions, we have another area called upcoming opportunities. So if there are any new projects on the horizon, we're looking for aviation, we're looking for the Illinois Tollway, we're looking for other developers that have private projects that are coming online to talk about them at the conference, because this is a way to get that information out into the hands of the contractors. The conference this year is October the 25th. October the 25th, that's a date I'd like you to remember. These are some more pictures of our exhibit floor. These are some of our participants from our 2017 conference. Next slide. The last division to Contractor Advisors Business Development is our Construction Development Institute. And this institute is designed to educate and train contractors on an ongoing basis. We produce workshops and seminars. And again, our focus is the contractor architects, and engineers. We operate in the building space exclusively. Our goal is to strengthen their ability to grow their businesses, and this is critical. As we've laid out, as I've talked about, our other divisions, growing their business is essential. The vast amount of information that is available to construction companies about the industry, about new procedures, this is where we help to give them this insight, where we teach them how to estimate, where we teach them how to look at their financials, where we teach them about the different kinds of software programs that exist to help them operate more efficiently. We, as you all know, operate in a technology-based world, and so this is an opportunity for us to get them up to speed on those particular software that can help them be more efficient in running their businesses. We just graduated a class on this past Saturday. This Construction Development Institute is a program that is sponsored in part by the City of Chicago Procurement Services, and we're really, really excited about it. We have a great turnout of businesses that come eager to gain knowledge and insight. So thank you so much for your attention. Again, my name is Suzanne Stanley, and I am the founder and CEO of the BE Group. Thank you.
And our second presenter.
Thank you, Jackie. I was going to play with this thing. Is it? Hey, guys. Well, thank you very much, Suzanne. That was really cool. I didn't know about your organization. So I'm with the Minority Supplier Development Council. And so I'm actually, as I was introduced initially, it's called the Minority Business Development Agency. That's the Department of Commerce has an agency under it called the Minority Business Development Agency. It is a federal agency that's the only agency that's looking out for minority-owned businesses. And they define minority-owned as being ethnically minority. So there are business centers around the country. And this one in Chicago is operated by the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. So this is a presentation about I'm actually presenting to you too. It's about the certification of the Minority Supplier Development Council. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about is, we have some bumper stickers over there. It's called Buy Diverse. That's a campaign we're talking about. And the idea is that Fortune 500 companies, hospitals, universities, government agencies are interested in this. They have goals of contract goals for women-owned businesses, for minority-owned businesses. And the idea is, for various reasons, we say buy diverse. They seek qualified minority-owned MBEs, what we call minority business enterprises. We'll do the next slide. From which to source products and services to diversify their supply chain. We give some ideas here: diversify their supply chain, enhance their offerings, improve their bottom line. Our organization put out a white paper, which I'm happy to send you if you're interested, talking about how it does improve a corporation's bottom line, the revenues of a corporation to contract with a minority-owned business. It's better inroads into the domestic market because minorities are more likely to hire minority employees. Minority employees are more likely to be loyal to a corporation, to a corporation's products. So it's not just that you're getting the know-how and the ability of a minority-owned business, but you're also getting inroads into the communities in which these businesses are. And I'm also talking about the idea that the white-owned businesses are basically they're dissolving at a faster rate. There are many of the very successful white-owned businesses. The kids go on to other things. They go into finance. They go into other business. And so a lot of businesses are frankly dying out. if we don't increase the minority-owned businesses, the supply chain, the domestic supply chain of the United States will shrink, and that is not good for the economy. Minority-owned businesses are also likely to export. Minority-owned businesses are also critical in contracting with the federal government. So for all these reasons, it helps your bottom line. So we'll talk about certification. Certification, nicely done. Certification is is our bread and butter, and we call it the gold standard of what we do. You see that we talk about at the council that we certify, develop, advocate, and connect minority-owned businesses. So today we're going to talk about certification. So about eligibility, you have to be a for-profit business. It's not for nonprofits. You have to have 51% owned and 51% controlled by a minority-owned business, my ethnic minority. For example, I'm Jewish in some circles. I'm a minority that is not a minority for the purposes of for MBDA and for the purposes of the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. It's about being ethnically minority. U.S. citizen and not a holding company, and it's headquartered in the United States. By not a holding company, it is like all of the certifications, you have to have a defined business that you're doing. And so you can't simply be a holding company. So the application, a little word on the application, is the fees are starting at $500. It's a sliding scale. Process takes about 90 to 100 days, 120 days rather, and there's a fee for expedited. The process is that once you give in an application and we review it, tell you what you're missing, you get a full application in, we come out and take a look at your business, and then we bring it to a committee. The committee recommends whether it's able to be certified or not, and then it goes to our board for a final certification. And then there are annual fees. So when I talked about develop, the Chicago SDC provides personalized consulting services and educational programming to help grow businesses. And part of that, and I'll go to the next slide now, part of that is my organization, my agency, the business centers. So we do actually operate 4 different business centers. Here's a business center in Chicago. There's a business center in St. Louis as well. There's an export center to help businesses export. These are all financed from the Department of Commerce, and then one financed from the tollway. The tollway is, and then the manufacturing with Atlanta, as we're helping manufacturers increase the number of made-in-America products that can be sold domestically. And then the tollway grant helps us bring technical assistance to businesses that are doing business with the tollway. With regard to Connect, we have many different opportunities to extend this access to our corporate members and strategic partners. And that's this connecting through networking. That's a major benefit of our certification and being associated with us. These are some of our opportunities, and we've developed this over our 50 years of being in existence. Chicago Business Opportunity Fair. That's are you familiar with our Chicago Business Opportunity Fair? Right. That's the granddaddy of the fairs. That is helping much like you were saying, of bringing connecting the minority-owned businesses to our opportunities from our corporate members and other corporations, buying powers. We also have procurement luncheons where corporations come out, talk about how you could work with them. And we have a national database and supply chain integration events. Supply chain integration events extends the networking that you do and the one-on-ones that you do at the CBOF, the Chicago Business Opportunity Fair, to events throughout the year. Then we also advocate. We are constantly trying to advocate on behalf of our MBEs, and we've recently sort of woken up the idea that we're talking to and making our representatives, our elected representatives, aware of what we're doing and trying to promote different ideas for especially downstate. to try to raise this concept. Try to close some of the waiver loopholes is something we're trying to work on right now. So it's good opportunity, and it's a nice thing to hear what you're doing, that we could talk about how maybe we could partner down the road. So to close, we talk about we're thought leaders since 1968. These are a few of the thoughts I've given you. We started in the 60s, in the tumult of the civil rights era and the Vietnam era. But it was the civil rights era where companies got together and said, we've got to increase business opportunities for minority-owned businesses. Like I mentioned before, it may have been 50 years ago, it may have been altruistic. Today, minority-owned businesses are the key to a robust U.S. economy. So I put down Philip Beretta, who's our executive vice president, as our contact name that you could contact. And I'll be available as well. Again, my name is Josh Gutstein, and I help businesses find financing. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
So now, if you have any questions, it is our question and answer. Do you all have any?
Yes.
1 second. Let me.
For me, I have the question about the Suzanne F. Stanley. Okay. I just close it. Sorry. So the question is, what kind of things your company do to provide a platform to maybe educate the complaint that you are working with? Like, is there any courses provided by your company, or like how do you educate your client?
We have classes. That was the last thing that I mentioned. We have educational sessions where we bring that was the very last picture I showed you was a graduating class. Yeah. So they come in for a number of weeks, and we train them on different subjects. So typically our classes run 3 hours.
Okay, so is it the main thing or something others? Just the courses or networks? Do your campaign provide some networking, like some groups or something like that?
So the mere fact that they come together in a class setting, those businesses that we invite in to be a part of our education program, once we finish educating them, there definitely are opportunities for them to network. And so what has happened as a result of what we do and what they have learned, because I am a tremendous advocate of partnering. And that's something that I espouse and encourage. So when we talk to them about the opportunities like are presented in this kind of document, because I'm an assist agency for the city, I get contracting opportunities every day. And so I have a database of many thousands of construction companies, locally, statewide, and nationally. But for those that we engage with locally, we provide activities where they can come out and network. Just on June the 6th, we had an event called Meet the Primes. And so they were able, those contractors that I just talked to you about, as a result of having gone through our training programs, when they come and meet with the primes, each one of them was charged with bringing a capability statement. None of them had them. So that was something that we taught them how to prepare. And most of them don't feel necessarily comfortable getting up and speaking. So we forced it on them that day, where 3 or 4 of them got up and talked about their businesses. They did an elevator pitch. So they talked about their businesses to the primes that were in the room. They networked amongst each other, and they networked with the primes. As a matter of fact, we have a boot camp going on. We just had boot camp last night. And so once the boot camp ended, you know, they're always talking, because during the course of the training, during the course of the boot camps that we hold, we talk about opportunities that exist and opportunities where they can come together. I got a contact. I was contacted from a prime contractor in another state that's getting a contract here in Chicago. And he wanted me to send him some prime contractors. So I talked about that last night after our boot camp. Those that could, because he sent a list of trades that he's looking for. So the point of what we do is to give them guidance and direction, education and training, and access to a networking environment so that they can come together, because as I stated during my presentation, for the most part, most of them are not large enough to go after bigger contracts. You have contracts 45 million, 50 million, even 10 million. Many of them have never done a contract over 1 million. Many of them. We do have some that have. But for those that are smaller, the path to growth is taking on a small project and doing it well. And then as you look to take on a larger project, it may be better if you look to take it on with somebody else, because you share the risk. You spread the responsibility and you spread the risk. And so that's what we're really working to make them understand and help them to become better at. Because if you are, let's just say you've never done a contract over $100,000, you've got $1 million contract on the table, where if you've done 100,000 and she's done a 200 and she's done a 200, you come together, you can probably take on $1 million contract. And that's really how the real growth is going to come. Growth that's going to be sustainable, where they can go after another contract and move into either even bigger programs that exist to help educate them. Did I answer your question?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
What's the cost for that service?
Well, interestingly enough, both of the programs, as Josh indicated, that their organization has an Illinois Tollway program, and so do we. We also work with the Illinois Tollway, and we have a small contract from the Department of Procurement, so it's free. So the services that we provide through either of those are free services. Now, our conference does have a fee attached, but it's nominal. And the benefits that come with the conference are significant, because we have first of all we do is construction. That's really important to know for people that want to engage us, because for me, I'm a marketer. That's my training. I come out of the advertising agency world. And so for me, creating a niche for our business, which is construction, architect, and engineer, but the building space, which is why we call our magazine Building Entrepreneur. So there is a lot of business to be had in that space, and there are a lot of companies that want to operate in that space. And so if we can just help them get up to capacity where they can operate in that space, it will make a tremendous difference. Where that 1% that you saw me talk about and that 3% for Hispanics will be able to grow. And there's another dimension to this whole contracting business that is a real barrier, and that is the unions for many of them that operate very strongly in our city, and then surety bonding. And I happen to be a surety bond agent because I wanted to really understand what that barrier looked like for them, even though my focus is on the training and the educating and the one-on-one counseling and the mentoring and the guidance. It's important to also know that no matter how much of that they get, if they can't get a bond, and in Chicago, if they're not in a union, they can't operate.
That's a really good, that's a key thing, is what we call multiple touches about networking. And so we also believe as an organization in giving as many opportunities to network as possible. I talked about our Chicago Business Opportunity Fair, the lunches, the supply chain integration events. These are, and other events. We have a golf outing scheduled in August, and this is to raise money for students. But on the other hand, it's an opportunity to network with our corporate representatives that come out and golf at the outing as well. So it's a great idea that you're looking for organizations that are doing networking and seeing how you could get out there and put yourself in position just to be around and to meet, because these opportunities do increase. I'm thinking of one MBE who, through the Business Opportunity Fair, started working with Walgreens, and was a contractor with Walgreens and has grown his business very nicely from that. And it took him a couple of years to get that contract from Walgreens, meeting them and being around, and his business has taken off since then.
Is there any protection for the minority industry, which is like to protect the minority business? I mean,
that's a really touchy question, believe it or not. The city does talk about being available to protect MBEs, protect MBE contractors. When they're subcontractors, when you are a subcontractor, you know full well that a prime could really work down what they're paying you. And then you could speak more to this. This happened recently where it's a really hard situation where our client is a sub, and the prime said, I'm just not going to pay you for these items, but I'll pay you for these other items. And so he came to me and said, what can I do? And the truth is, you can bring it to the city, and the city will bring all the parties in and talk about it. Or in the alternative, but you worry that if you do that, you're labeled as a problem person. Another client of ours had to eat some money, but he did end up getting a bigger contract down the road from that same FH Passion. In the end, that client that I was just telling you about did send a letter to them outlining how they were wrong and outlining how that violated the contract that they submitted with the city. I helped them with some language of it. We were not on that letter, though. It was strictly from him. And I think that did unlock something because it shamed them a little bit. And so that created some movement. So there is some gray area that he didn't burn the bridge, but he didn't eat all the money either.
I have two questions. So with all the credentialing that's available, federal, national, local, what's the advantage over other credentialing?
You mean to be certified?
Yeah. Like I am certified with at least 10, federal, state, regional, all that. So this question's for you. So what's the difference with the Chicago Minority Supplier? And then the question I had for you is, what's a surety bond?
Well, let me start at it because in my space we also require bonding. Most of the construction work is being funded by the federal government, 80%, 81%. So when you're getting federal dollars for construction, you have to be a DBE. So we don't really do too much with MBE certification. It's important. It's just as important for those industries that require it. But for industries that require the DBE certification, that's a really good question. So we had our Meet the Primes event on June the 6th, as I indicated. And we took that event in a little bit of a different, we took a different approach that the primes had not ever been exposed to in an event like that. And as I said, I'm a marketer. So I don't create things and do them like other people. I see a bigger vision for the event. So what I had them do was have a panel. So we had a panel in which we asked them questions so that the DBEs in the room or the minority could really have an opportunity to hear what their thinking was. And one of the questions was, does your firm require that these businesses be certified? Every single one said yes. Every single one said yes, and they have to be DBE certified before you can even come and talk to us. So it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get business, but you won't get business if you're not certified, at least in the construction world. I'll let you handle it.
Yeah, it's crazy that nothing's been consolidated. It's every certification is for itself. The state is for the state. The city county is for city county. Ours is for the private industry, the hospitals, the corporations, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 corporations, and schools. They are saying that, like, these corporations are saying that they want 25%, 10 or 25% minority, 10 or 15, 10 or 5 or 10% women-owned business. They say that. And what happens is they have a lot of majority-owned legacy contracts. And so the discretionary stuff, they're focusing the discretionary stuff on getting it in from women-owned and minority-owned businesses, to the point where I had a friend who was trying to peddle his a great graffiti cleaner, but he's not a minority business, and he actually would have a positive response from a corporation, go to get on their vendor list, and when it asked what's your certification, left it blank, and he didn't get another call, because that's the way it is right now. That and it's a wise thing for the corporations to do this. Is that and I told my friend he's got to partner with a minority-owned business, and he'll see some opportunities open up. But our certification is the key to private-owned businesses, and we're sort of like a WBDC is also. We're the MSDC, and then WBDC, it's for minority owns, and then the women's owned business. And so our certifications go to business.
Yeah, what's a surety bond?
A surety bond is you know what insurance is. Okay, so a surety bond is the opposite of insurance, but it is a financial instrument. A surety bond is a guarantee to the project owner. Let's just say it's the city of Chicago and they have a building, they're going to erect a building, which is actually done by the Public Building Commission. They handle all the building for the city. So before they undertake the building of that, any contractor that is working on that project has to have a bond. And that bond is a guarantee to that project owner that if that contractor is unable to complete the work, that they won't lose money, that the project owner is the they, in this case the city, that the city will not lose money, and that they have a recourse. And that recourse would be to go out and hire another contractor that can finish the work. A surety bond is probably the most difficult thing to get when you are in the construction business, because the surety bond, they're called the obligor, the one that lets it, like your Travelers Insurance, your Willis Towers, they have surety. They will send you through a maze in order to get it. You have to really go through a great deal because, again, they're on the hook. And again, unlike insurance, I call insurance. We kind of all know what that is. This is assurance. It assures the project owner that the work is going to be done. And if it's not done, then they can go hire somebody else. Basically, that it will get done by somebody. Either that first one that they hired or somebody else. And if you actually default on your surety bond, then you don't get out of it. You have to pay. And so they'll come after your house, your wife, your husband, your kids. They're going to get the surety owner. That Willis, Travelers Insurance, those large companies that actually gave the money, that's where the money's coming from, those large entities. They're not going to lose their money. So they send you through a great deal of scrutiny in order to give it to you. And it's not an easy thing to get. They operate under sort of the old boy network, character, capability. They want people that are reputable, that can demonstrate that they have experience. So those are things that you have to go through as you put in that application for a surety bond.
Any more questions? Okay. You just go off.
Well, I have two questions. The first is, as for your target customer, your is to educate the worker with like basic technique or higher technique, like design, planning, or development, something like that.
Our focus is on building better businessmen.
Oh.
So contractors come to us that know their trade. So they can be a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter. We don't teach skills training. Our training is business education training. So as a part of running a construction business, you've got to know how to bid. You got to know how to read a bid specification. You got to know how to go and look for bid opportunities. You got to know how to write an estimate. Many contractors lose their shirts when they estimate improperly. You got to know how to read contract documents. You got to understand what project management. You got to know what change orders are and when you need to send them and when you need to get them written. So these are the things that we train them how to run the business part of a construction company, not how to put a nail in the wall or flush a toilet. That's not the part that we work with.
Well, I want to thank both of you for coming out today.
I'll take my $10,000 check. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Took it offline for the last question because we had to go at 4:15.